$300, I would go back to them. If we did save them money, we'd take 27% of their savings. So in our first year, we saved Flushing Hospital about $7 million. So overnight, we made about $2.5 million. We had about $300,000. We almost had $3 million in our bank accounts in like 1 year from running the system. Now every other year, they would become less efficient. So you get the first bang the first year, and then every other year, you're not making as much. But nevertheless, we were saving them a huge amount of money. And I remember flying to Boston asking Victor for his expenses because I knew that there was a good chance we were saving the money on the per day per bed. I had some analysts do the per day per bed cost as forecasts, and it seemed like it was dropping. So we were saving them huge money, and I thought, well, maybe now I should shore up all our expenses. So I flew to Boston, and I asked Victor what our expenses were, and he started laughing. He was like, Harvard gave me these servers, and I have these RAs, and they're just managing the code and our database for free. And I was like, oh, cool. So we don't have any expenses on the technology side. He was like, no. Psych. I flew back to New York. I had a few meetings with other people and some venture capitalists I wanted to buy. So then I went and met with the doctor to tell him about my week. And on his desk, I saw a bill from Victor for $800,000. And I thought, my God, like, what's this bill for? And he said, oh, it's server costs, management costs. He goes, not bad, huh? And I was like, are you kidding me? I just flew from Boston last week. He told me directly that the servers were free, that he had no expenses as a result of running our technology. And he said, really? Well, I'm going to talk to him. Now, I also flew to Boston to get my shares because I was the lawyer of the company. So I started the company I realized we were making money. I needed to document it. And I was owed 12%, right, for my role in sweat equity of growing the company, making the company profitable. I went to Victor to tell him it was going to be pro rata, which meant everyone across the board. There were 2 shareholders. There was also a third, but he was a minor player. So everyone was going to lose 12% of the shares, and I was going to get it. But Victor only had, I think, 20%. So he didn't want to give me, I guess, what it equaled like 4, I guess, 20, what is it? I had 12%. So he wanted 2.4% of his shares, so 2.4 shares out if he had 20. He didn't want to give that to me. He was like, I didn't hire you. I don't have any responsibility to you. So you get your shares from the doctor who had 86%. So, or I guess the remainder, he had like more than majority. So he said, get it from him. You're not taking any of my shares. So I went back to the doctor to discuss this with him, and that's when I saw the bill. And he said, then the doctor got really upset. He goes, not only is he not giving you shares, but we're profitable because of you. We wouldn't have had this company because of you. So you should have, you should get your shares from him. So then he called Victor and he said, well, we got to talk. I want you to come to New York. They talked, big blow up. Victor ended up suing all of us. We countersued. The company would be thriving in the world of the World Wide Web. I mean, the database we had was by far the best database currently because this doctor, right out of med school, he started tracking patients. What would cause a young doctor to do it? But he did it right out of med school. He would track he had like 50 bits of data on this data sheet, and he would say when they actually checked out of a hospital how long they were in the hospital for. He'd record their age, their ailment, whether they were living in a nursing home or in a group home or in a family, which all are factors in your length of stay in a hospital. So he had the foresight to do this. We had the best data, and I ended up ultimately walking away from the company, selling my shares back to the doctor because the doctor never gave me my shares, but I said, look, I'll just walk out. I want to be clean, and I don't want to be part of this lawsuit. So I just want out, and so I sold my shares for about $200,000, but which I guess at the time was great because I was like in my 20s and I didn't have any expenses. And it was a lot of money for me, but at the same time, wasn't worth anything near what the company was worth. Unfortunately, when I stepped down from the company, I told the doctor, you're going to need someone to keep working with this algorithm because as we got in more data, the algorithm, we could retest it, retrain it, and it can get better and better. So my first lesson there was know your partners, right? Like I didn't really relate to my partners. They were older than me. They were also in a different profession. And I didn't know who they were really. And I didn't know what their stories were. Like it turns out Victor had mistresses and he had women and he had families outside of his family and he apparently needed the money to handle this. And look, that's his story. I didn't want to get involved with that, but you should know these things when you have a partner, right? Because all of these things are factors in knowing who your partners are. So that was my first lesson, know your partners. And so every other company I've started, I have a disciplined approach. And the reason why I can start so many, like right now I'm juggling 4 or 5 companies. The reason I can juggle so many is because I have a real talent for selecting partners. I look for these things that I just talked about. I look for their passion. I look for, how they handle money. If you don't want to spendthrift, so a spendthrift is going to generally have bad credit. So I won't necessarily run their credit, but I'll look at their financial background to see if there are any red flags. If they've been in bankruptcy, if they've been in a foreclosure. These are not people you want in your company. That doesn't mean that they'll be bad, but generally the trend is if they're not good with personal finances, they'll be not good with your company money. So.
This is fabulous. Thank you so much. Some people have an 11:15 class.
Okay.
We're going to let them know. If anyone wants to linger a few minutes, I'm sure. Suzanne, do you want to say anything further?
No, but thank you so much. This has been fantastic. I think another round of applause is definitely in order.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. I really wish they had a social innovation class when I was at Fordham. It's like a new thing, but
Yeah.
it's really, really great. It's really forward thinking of Fordham.
Totally. We're so excited to have it and to have you here.
Thank you.
You were riveting as always.
Do you have any last words for everybody else?
No, just reiterate. Just think throughout your day. I want you to think about your passion. I want you to think about your failures, how you can fail, and also I want you to think about your actions. Right, your actions are really what are going to dictate the outcome. The only thing that's going to dictate the outcome. So Eleanor Roosevelt actually said, the lowest-minded people talk about people. Right, so when people gossip about people, it's the lowest form of communication. The second highest, or the next rung, is events, the weather, right, the politics, right. But the highest-minded people talk about ideas. So you want to surround yourself with people that talk about ideas. If you hear the conversation trending towards, oh, she did this, she did that, he did this, he did that, it's a time to step away.